Hey y'all, day 25, raising this flock of Cornish rock cross meat chickens. They are resting. They're doing exactly what we want to see meat birds doing. They are resting and growing, and they have active periods throughout the daytime, throughout the nighttime as well. When they get up, go to feeders, go to waters, and in between their feeding and watering times, that's what they want to do. But as producers, that's also what we want them to do because they are growing. They grow so rapidly. So they are on day 25. It's May 24th, 2025, and they are only in production for poultry until day 42. So June 11th, 2025 for this flock. They were hatched April 30th, 2025. So why are we having so many birds over here and so few birds distributed throughout the rest of the pen? Has everything to do with temperature. At this point, birds that are between week 3 and week 4, between day 21 and day 28, they basically want ambient temperature to be 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, outdoors, it's 56 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest we got today was about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And overnight, tonight we're supposed to drop to about 42 degrees Fahrenheit. So if we had no targeted warmth for them, and it does drop to 42 when they want to be minimum 75, they're going to be a little bit uncomfortable. This way, the birds have the option of wherever they're at on their growth continuum and what ambient temperature they want, they can opt for right under the targeted warmth, right beside the targeted warmth, or away from the targeted warmth. So makes it very customized to the individual preference of the birds. So that's how we're managing for temperature right at this point. Ideally, we wouldn't really have to have a difference throughout the pen at all. We wouldn't have to have heat lamps on in one section of it with no heat lamps throughout the rest of it, and we could keep, ambient condition the same throughout all of it. But under the circumstances, we can't control the temperature. And since our barn, while it's built for meat birds, it's built for keeping meat birds cooled off in extreme heat. We have features like big doors on each side of the barn that we can open up in the daytimes, and we keep like waist high panel there that also helps when we have the doors open, helps have a barrier there that keeps the birds safe inside the barn and would keep most predators out during the daytime. And then at night we close the building up. But those doors are a feature that really allow us to maximize cross ventilation and allow us to utilize that as a cooling feature. So conversely, since this building is really set up on the design concept of let's deal with birds when we're in extreme heat and we need to cool them down. Since that's the design concept that this building is put together on, it makes it challenging when we have temperatures below the ambient conditions that our birds want. It makes it challenging to warm the building up. So this threshold and range is not too bad. Having to deal with birds at day 25 with temperatures fluctuating between 42 and 70 is not ideal, but it's not awful either. And you can tell here they can find comfort zones and they have room to get up and move. So for example, I just saw one kind of in the center under the lights stand up and is moving out of where the targeted warmth is, and then simultaneously I could see on each side some birds move in toward the targeted warmth and sit down. So as long as they can move around and find some place that's comfortable to them, and as long as they're not piling up on each other, then we're okay on the floor space and on the ambient conditions. And I can look at this pen and tell these birds are comfortable. They're resting. They're not fluffing their feathers up to try to stay warm that way. They're not panting because they're overheated, because they're not. They're able to utilize the warmth where they want it, and they're able to get away from it if they don't want it. So another thing we can see going on in here is we're getting a lot of compaction in the bedding, a lot of moisture load, especially right here between the row of waters and this first row of lamps. We're seeing a lot of compacted bedding and a lot of moisture manure load right there. But you can see over here, there's not that moisture load and manure load on the bedding that we can see over here to the right of this set of feeders. The bedding is light in color, it looks loose, we can still see individual pieces of it, and so that floor quality is the condition we want. This floor quality is deteriorating and we want to refresh that. So we're going to deal with that promptly as well. In fact, actually, when I'm done here shortly with the video, we will have the birds get up and move around, and I probably will go ahead and take a pitchfork and just shift some of this loose bedding over a little bit and add a little top dress right there. But can see a lot of birds resting, can see a lot of growth in these birds, and that's great. So final stats on today. It is day 25. We are actually at 418 birds. So we've lost two. Actually, the way it was, we lost 2 yesterday and 1 today. And I had got mixed up on yesterday's video with the flock numbers and flock loss, but that's where we're at today, 418 Cornish rock cross meat chickens. So we reserved at our processor for 400. So the goal is to stay above 400. We had ordered 425 from the hatchery. So we started with a few more than 425. So now we're at 418. And like I said, basically taking into consideration that flock loss does occur when raising meat birds on occasion, we are wanting to stay above 400 on our flock count. We do have about 3 in the flock that I would say are on my radar for likely flock loss. They're kind of ongoing slow growth pattern, not to the extreme of failure to thrive, but if they're not keeping up at some point, the growth spurts could tax their internal organs beyond what those slow growers can sustain. So we just take it day by day. So let us know if you got any questions. But yes, they do rest a lot. That's just part of raising meat birds. So they are currently resting because they're between active periods.